Now, first, let me appreciate the efforts of the central bank in trying to stabilize prices. Just as the director said, the major mandate of the central bank is to stabilize prices. But from the private sector point of view, particularly entrepreneurs, the challenge with the tightening, because the tightening of the monetary policy is getting to a point that it's looking like it's suffocating those who are in business, particularly those who have reasons to, take facility from the bank, or those who have already taken money from the bank. First, we must come to the reality that the challenge of inflation or bringing down prices is not something that only the central bank can do. I agree the central bank can only use what it has, which is the monetary policy instruments. But I think we need to define how far we can go with the use of those instruments. Because the banking system exists primarily for what is called financial intermediation. And what financial intermediation means is the mobilization of resources from the surplus end of the economy to the deficit end of the economy. That is the primary essence of a bank. When you have a situation where that primary function of a bank is being put at risk, a situation where we are almost seeing a disconnection between the banking system and the real economy, between the banking system and the economic operators that the banks are supposed to service, then it's something that we need to worry about. Now, we are seeing this consistent tightening of monetary policy for close to 2 years now. Even under the previous administration of the CBN, there had been this tightening of monetary policy. And the impact on both the exchange rate and inflation has not been that significant, because the other drivers of inflation seems to be more potent in terms of fueling inflation than even the monetary phenomenon. The only monetary issue that was the biggest issue was the waste and means financing. That is the funding of fiscal deficit by the central bank, which went to the extreme under the previous administration. And the good news is that this current administration has been very firm on it. I'm talking of the current administration of the CBN, that the waste and means finances will become. There are issues of insecurity, issues of logistics, insecurity, logistics, energy prices, and the fact that because of the strength of our currency, a lot of our food products are also getting out of the country, because the CFA, which is the currency around most of our neighboring countries, it's now stronger. So a lot of our food products are getting out of the country. Now we have a situation where interest rate now is around 30%. Now, for an economy that seems to create jobs, that seems to grow the economy, that seems to improve outputs, how do you do business with an interest rate of almost 30%? What business do you want to do? What is the return on investment? These are very critical issues. So we need to have a balance of some of these things. Yes, we can continue to tax it, but we also need to be mindful about the costs. Because if we drive the economy to a point that businesses cannot even afford to borrow at all, or those who have borrowed are groaning, how do you want to service your facility at 30%? What business do you, how much profit are you going to make? So we don't want the monetary system, to put too much pressure on the economic operators. And that is why we worry about this. Because already we have CRR, which is cash reserve ratio, at 45%. That means for every 100 million deposit that goes to the bank, 45 million is taken out. That is very profound in terms of liquidity management. Now we are having a situation where MPR is now over 26%. By the time you add some of these margins, you are getting to 30%. For me, I don't think that is good for the economy, because we need to give room for economic operators to also be able to use bank facility. And it's even worse for those who have already taken the facility. You can't walk away from it because you have taken the facility, you have spent it. And most of these facilities that you take from the banks, they have variable interest rate. They will tell you there's always a clause in all these loan facilities that these rates are variable depending on the monetary policy rate. So many of them have been getting advices now that rates have increased. Now we are getting to 30%. How will those businesses survive? And we are not talking so much even about the development finance window. So we need to slow down and look at how we can use other tools, particularly on the fiscal side, to bring down the cost of energy, to bring down the cost of logistics, to address security issues, and things like that. I think there are a lot more to do on the fiscal side, to bring down prices than on the monetary side. So that is the view of many of the entrepreneurs in the economy as far as this is concerned.